12 fights card for UFC Macau, China on November 23rd is officially announced. It was expected that China's Zhang Weili or Song Yadong would headline it, but instead an absolute banger of a main event is announced as Davison Figueiredo will take on Peter Yan in a 5-rounder headliner to get the chance to fight for the gold. In the co-main event, number 10 ranked light heavyweight prospect Carlos Ulberg, who is now on a 5 fights finish streak, will face number 6 ranked Volkan Ozdemir. Undercard of UFC Macau is gonna be Chinese heavy as another light heavyweight prospect from China, Yang Mingyang, who is riding a 10-fight finish streak, will face Ozzy Diaz. Number 2 ranked Chinese Yan Xiaonan will face number 9 ranked Tabitha Ricci in strawweight fight. Current hottest Chinese prospect Wang Kong will face Gabriela Fernandez in a flyweight bout. A welterweight fight between Song Kenan versus Muslim Salikhov, flyweight bout between Leonard Kavanagh versus Jose Ochoa, a non-Chinese flyweight fight between Carlos Hernandez versus Niam Jargal something, and 4 road to UFC finales featuring 5 Chinese fighters complete this stacked card. 2 new fights are also added in UFC 310. OG Clay Guida will take on new breed Chase Hooper, who just signed a new 4-fight deal with the promotion. And nickdiqz vs Vicente Luque is also rebooked, this time for UFC 310 PPV in Las Vegas on December 7th. 2 more fights for UFC Tampa on December 14, a flyweight bout between Manel Kape vs Bruno Silva and a bantamweight bout between Davy Grant vs Ramon Tavares. UFC has also signed 6 new fighters, 5 from Dana White's Contender Series Week 7 winners, and the 6th is the former 2-division champion of ONE FC, Reinier de Ridder, who will make his promotional debut against one of the best gatekeepers, Gerald Meerschaert, in UFC Vegas 100 on November 9th. Dana White in his post-event conference says that he doesn't know about the UFC signing Reinier de Ridder and that questions about him should be directed to the matchmakers. White also says that UFC met with Zhang Weili last week and her next fight will be announced soon. They just booked both of her potential opponents against each other, so no clue who they are gonna get this title shot. Talking about boxing, he also answers the most important question in fans' minds: if UFC fighters will do crossover fights with boxers after his involvement in boxing. He says that he expects no crossover with UFC and boxing in terms of competitors. Mike Tyson is glad that Dana White is entering boxing. He believes that's going to be the best thing to happen to boxing, just like the UFC. Other than the official announcements, we have some interesting call-outs too. One championship boss, Chatri, believes the 3-division champion Anatoly Malykhin, who had taken 2 of his belts from UFC's new signee Reinier de Ridder, would defeat PFL's Francis Ngannou very quickly, as Malykhin is blue belt in Jiu-Jitsu while Ngannou has no ground game. The diamond doesn't duck no smoke, as Dustin Poirier teases a trilogy fight versus Justin Gaethje via his X account, always calling out the best of the best. After that, Dan Hooker calls him out as he also wants a rematch with Dustin Poirier. Chael Sonnen believes it's foolish to think McGregor will come back, as he has got other opportunities like selling the proper 12 and finding himself in big movies. The guy who has had enough of waiting for McGregor, Michael Chandler, now takes a shot at Arman Tsarukyan, who previously criticized him for waiting for Conor McGregor fight, and now he is waiting for Islam Makhachev fight. Arman in a recent interview had said that he would wait for Islam Makhachev to heal up and then take the title shot he earned after beating Oliveira. Chandler called him a hypocrite for criticizing others and himself waiting on a big fight. In the midst of these top lightweights taking shots at each other, don't forget that headliner of this weekend's UFC France is also a lightweight bout between Renato Moicano and Benoit Saint-Denis. Moicano says he knows BSD is not an easy money and he will be prepared for war. He also talked about his next potential opponent and he said after watching Bobby Green vs Paddy Pimblett, he thinks Pimblett is a tougher matchup than Dan Hooker despite being ranked lower. Co-headliner of the event, Brendan Allen aims to check his final box for a title shot by beating Nassourdine Imavov in his hometown in front of his own people. While he is dreaming for the next title shot, Sean Strickland, who has already claimed that he has got the next title shot and is just waiting for Dricus du Plessis to sign the contract, now reminds us again that he is still waiting for the champ to take the fight as he lands in Utah to join Alex Pereira's training camp for Khalil Roundtree Jr. Roundtree's coach John Wood believes that the main event of UFC 307 will not go for 25 minutes and someone is going out on their shield, like we don't know already. By the way, Roundtree's coach is not the only one who believes that Roundtree can beat Alex Pereira. Pereira's last opponent Jamal Hill also thinks Khalil Roundtree has the tools to give Alex Pereira trouble because he is a southpaw. LOL. Hill was also a southpaw and we seen how that went. After Alexander Volkanovski's statement that he is open to fight number 3 ranked UFC featherweight Diego Lopez for the interim featherweight belt if needed, Lopez now has response to the statement as he is also open to fight the number 1 contender in December. Still, he believes that the better option is to serve as the backup for the UFC 308 title fight. Volkanovski recently talked about the lightweight champion from Russia, Islam Makhachev, and he said that he doesn't see anyone beating Islam for a while. By the way, the new bantamweight champion Merab Dvalishvili has an interesting take on these Russian fighters as he explains how these Russian fighters like Islam Makhachev and Khamzat Chimaev etc. are from different countries but have to represent Russia because Russia has somehow taken over their countries. While Dvalishvili dividing these Russians, Khamzat Chimaev reveals that his initial feud with Khabib was a mistake and he won't ever fight his countryman. If you don't remember, Khamzat, having just entered the UFC, had a feud with great Khabib Nurmagomedov which stemmed from media members stirring up noise between the pair. Merab Dvalishvili is talking about Russians and still not mentioning Umar Nurmagomedov, who is still waiting for that call from the UFC. In the Better Behave vs. Bivol press conference, Chris Eubank Jr. just called Frank Warren and Eddie Hearn scumbags to their faces in a rant about boxing promoters. After that, Frank Warren declared that he is going to sue Chris Eubank Jr. over it. Things were getting heated, but then Chris Eubank Jr. released a statement retracting his words and apologizing from these promoters, and Warren didn't waste any time accepting the apology. Warren also said that he is now open to work with Eubank Jr. in the future. Edgar Berlanga, who is coming off recent loss to Canelo Alvarez, was upset that he got hit by the left hook that he was practicing for the whole camp and knew it was coming. He now expressed his desire to fight Anthony Joshua next. Mia Yoshida vs Shireta Metcalf is official for the IBF Bantamweight World Championship on October 23rd, and Junto Nakatani has welcomed Naoya Inoue's challenge to first fight his brother Takuma Inoue in a WBA and WBC Bantamweight World Title unification fight, then move up and fight him for the undisputed WBA, WBC, IBF and WBO Super Bantamweight World titles. And now let's end the video on UFC fight cancellations. Mauricio Rufy will not compete at UFC 307 after the promotion could not find an opponent willing to fight him. They will try to get him a fight later this year. And UFC 308 bout order is also updated after Gane vs Volkov cancellation. Khamzat Chimaev vs Robert Whittaker is your new co-main event, and Murphy vs Ige moves from the prelims to the main card. And that's all for now. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video and subscribe to the channel to stay updated with the fight world. Now I'll see you tomorrow with a new video, so till then, do whatever you want.